While I would love to dive in Hawaii or French Polynesia, the current pandemic situation is requiring me to dive a bit closer to home. And I actually haven't done much scuba diving at all in the past year, so I thought it would be a good idea to get out and refresh my memory. And to this end, I planned a week of diving across 3 amazing spots in California and went to work. So the first spot on the list was Santa Barbara, which is where I learned to dive. And because of that, this location has a special place in my heart. It's where I learned all about the underwater world. It's where I made a lot of my new friends, and I've actually worked in this area. So I've done hundreds of dives on the reefs, and it always amazes me that every time that I go, I get to see something new. But the one thing, the visibility is usually pretty bad. You wouldn't really think this would be the case because Santa Barbara is protected by the Channel Islands to the south and is actually completely shielded from northern swells. But despite this swell protection, the wind really kicks up in the winter and the spring, and that can make it pretty difficult to find good visibility. But, once we descended, I was pretty amazed at how good the visibility was. There's this rocky reef at our dive site that kind of parallels the shore, and it was just packed with life. There's tons of kelp bass and Spanish shawl, which are kind of these purple and orange snail looking guys. But what I wasn't seeing too much on this dive was kelp. Urchins had actually taken over a pretty big part of the reef, and that's somewhat concerning because without the kelp, a lot of these reef fishes tend to disappear. But for now, this area looks great, and we were able to enjoy our dive. Next up on our trip was Big Sur, and personally, when we were trying to plan this dive, I was thinking it wouldn't happen because there was 10 to 15 foot surf predicted for the area, which is ridiculous. Like, just no way that those conditions would ever be diveable in Santa Barbara. But tucked away coves can provide calm waters despite the huge forecast. So at the request of my friends, we drove down to check it out with cautious optimism. And the place we ended up freediving involved a short hike. The first thing that I said was like, God, it looks awesome. It was so cool. It was this cove, and it was really protected from the waves, and it was just really calm. But my next question was, how the hell do we get down there? It just looked like this 20-foot drop into the cove, and I didn't see an easy way to get back up. And what we had to do was search around. We ended up finding a spot on some mussel beds that it seemed like you could, get in and out relatively easily. And once we did jump in, the visibility was crazy. It's probably 15 feet, if not for the sediment that had been stirred up by the waves. My friend found a ton of empty abalone shells, but no live ones. I think the scenery here was just amazing. And it was awesome to dive in this protected cove that was surrounded by these huge towering cliffs, and also these surprised onlookers. Hikers were coming and checking out on us, asking if we were okay. Didn't realize that you could dive there, which I guess is fair because the entry was pretty difficult. I'm really looking forward to checking out Big Sur again once the surf is a bit smaller. It just seems like that spot could be a great freediving / spearfishing area. And finally, the last stop in the trip was Monterey. Once again, I was shocked at how some spots can have massive head-high shore break, but you drive 15 minutes and you find a beach that's completely flat, completely calm. The breakwater at San Carlos Beach is the most popular shore dive in this area, and that's where we decided to swim out. And at this point in the trip, my hamstrings and my heel were killing me from all the kicking with the fins that we had done on our long surface swims. But the dive for this day, absolutely worth whatever discomfort that I had. This dive is just truly special. It's right off the bat, I was freaking out over how good the visibility was. The water was just super clear, super blue, and it was awesome swimming through the kelp with the light streaming down through the canopy. And there was some massive schools of rubber lip and opali. And this spot also had the most sea lions I'd ever seen in my life, and I made another video that's entirely dedicated to that awesome experience. So you can probably tell Monterey was my favorite spot to dive, but it's also worth noting that the visibility in this area is highly variable. I've dove that place before, I think it was over Thanksgiving, and the water was super green. It's still the same cool marine life, but without the shockingly good visibility. But that's why I love diving. You never really know what the conditions are going to be like until, you get to the bottom and check it out. And more often than not, you're surprised by something new. So that's it. That's the end of the video. Thanks.